Hello, and welcome to my little corner of the world in the garden of England. A beautiful place, but in truth, I'd rather be in a corner of some foreign field, away from here, because England is being systematically destroyed by megalomaniacs. By the way, a corner of some foreign field is a poem by a gentleman called Rupert Brooke, written as a serving officer in World War One. A beautiful poem, but I have no doubt he would turn in his grave in today's world, where we have learned absolutely nothing from all the past and all the wars. Why? Because truth is hidden and we are being told lies. And those lies are mostly by omission of the truth, kept from us by those who want to enslave us. Mainstream journalism has become a joke when copy and paste minions of the government put pen to paper, or rather copy huge swathes of print from other liars and pass them on as their own. People like me, and there are thousands of us, are becoming known as citizens journalists. And even though I'm not that successful, I challenge anyone to fault my words because thanks to the internet and smartphones, the truth can no longer be hidden. Unless, of course, the internet is controlled. Sorry, is it really still controlled? Ooh, beware of that. Now, up until I was 38, maybe 40, I never had much time for anything other than making a living and supporting my family. And music was just a fad that you danced to. And then came along a group called Pink Floyd, and it changed my view completely and utterly. Great music with a social and political message, and a man of principle in the name of Roger Waters. Now, the first album I ever bought was The Final Cut, performed by Pink Floyd, but it was all actually written by Roger Waters, and it was supposedly their last album, but obviously history tells us different to that. And the album mostly covers the Falklands War. But in fact, it became a very anti-war message, as Roger's mantra is always anti-war, anti-war. And Roger's father, Eric Fletcher Waters, was a conscientious objector. But during the course of the war, when he discovered Nazism was becoming apparent in Europe, he became a fighter pilot and was very quickly shot down and killed in September 1943. Incidentally, the Fletcher Memorial is another track on the same album, well worth listening to. And I encourage you, I'll leave a link to all these and the album itself because it is really, really worth listening to when you know what it's about. And I will just leave a link to those as reference. And it is an actual reference to a pilot who's been badly hit and on his way down to crash and certain death. But to be honest, you need to listen to the whole album because every one of Pink Floyd's album is a story in itself. And Roger, in my opinion, and in my book, is an exceptional writer and a man that does the right thing. He was on tour in Israel some years ago when he visited the West Bank and was horrified at the obvious apartheid that was going on there. And he spoke openly in public about it, and he was immediately castigated for his outburst. Since that moment, his words have been vilified by recent events. verified by recent events. And by the way, he cancelled that concert in Israel. And I can thoroughly recommend the final cut as an anti-war statement. Not just about the Falklands War, but all wars. And spending a while listening to this album, in my humble opinion, is very worthwhile indeed. And Roger Waters, who has been heavily criticised in the past for his historical stance on Israel, has now been proved correct. But, of course, as usual, no one is apologising. Incidentally, since the Falklands War, which, by the way, was fought over an invasion by a foreign power, and when you think where the Falklands is and where Argentina is, who does it really belong to, apart from in law? And that island has been fought over very strongly, even today. What was so important about a tiny island in the South Atlantic with a very harsh climate that only supported a few thousand human beings and 500,000 sheep? Nothing to do with large deposits of oil and gas discovered there, of course. Look it up. I did. And by the way, the German-based music company that had been due to release Roger's re-recording of Dark Side of the Moon, which incidentally was #1 album for more than 20 years, they've ditched him over allegations of anti-Semitism. Can you even imagine the hypocrisy here? Especially after all the coverage of what is occurring in Israel and all the demonstrations everywhere about it. Is the whole world blind or just scared to have an opinion when one side is backed by the most powerful country in the world? Now, when I say most powerful country in the world, I'm being sarcastic, because it no longer is, simply because the world is in the process of moving on and leaving America behind. Now, this brings me to a very important question. Who and what started this latest war in Israel that has been at war so many times in the past? It may be not what you think. Now, there is a 6-word phrase that I'm not allowed to mention on this platform, but it concerns a river and the sea, and is ridiculously said to be anti-Semitic. Now, it has been known since 1999 that there are gas deposits in the Mediterranean Sea. And guess where they are? Yep, just off the coast of Gaza. And those fields are called Gaza Marine 1 and Gaza Marine 2, and relatively shallow, at around 600 metres below the surface, and contain approximately 1 trillion cubic metres of gas. Now, by comparison, Russia has 40 trillion cubic metres, but as we all know, the Nord Stream 1 pipeline that fed Europe was blown up, and the culprits are yet to be revealed, but most people know who it was. Just ask Liz Truss. Now then, since that has happened, Europe, especially Germany, has been starved of gas and rely on liquid gas from America at a considerably higher price. Consequently, the German industry and Europe in general have faltered big time. Now, wouldn't it be oh so convenient to have a gas supply in the Mediterranean Sea? The problem, it seems, is who actually owns the rights to these gas fields. Look at the name. The Palestinian Authority was granted the right to exercise sovereignty over its own maritime territory by the Oslo Accords of 1995. 4 years later, the Palestinian Authority gave the International Consortium a 25-year, 90% stake in a license to explore and develop any such fields. Since that time, Israel, or also known as America, has blocked this development. In 2002, the Palestinian Authority proposed to construct a pipeline to a processing plant facility in Gaza. Once again, Israel opposed this idea by saying it should go to an Israeli port. In 2008, in total contravention of international laws, Israel declared sovereignty over the Gaza marine area. Now, this legal debacle has been going on for years, but being the cynic I am, can you see where this could lead, or is it just my imagination? Why bother with legal requirements when you can destroy the country and its people by using a force flag invasion and then blame it on the UN staff in Gaza without any investigation? America and Britain and Europe have stopped aid to UNRWA because of the rumour that some 6 of their staff involved in the October 7th attack were involved. 6 out of 30,000. And it is just a rumour. And the mind boggles. Isn't it odd that these accusations come just after the decision by the International Court of Justice on the matter in question? Stopping aid to a country in desperate trouble or just a rumour, sums up the West in a nutshell. Guilty until proven innocent. Just my opinion as a citizen, of course. And what about the recent events in Hungary? And the EU flexing its muscle as an oligarchy to economically destroy a country that doesn't toe the line. If you're an EU member, take note of that. The threat has been made by the people who run Europe, backed up by you-know-who. And giving another 50 billion to the Ukraine war effort is debatable. The war is all but over, bar the shouting. And any money pumped into a very corrupt country will disappear without trace. And the Prime Minister of Hungary went against this decision and was immediately warned by Ms von der Leyen that the EU would bankrupt his country if he didn't comply. He backed down, but I have a suspicion that Hungary may certainly consider leaving the EU and join BRICS. And Europe, if you've noticed, at the moment is in absolute chaos with demonstration and strikes everywhere. And it's not just Europe, it's worldwide. So thank you for listening to my rant. I'm very grateful for that. Please tick the box. It really does help to spread the word. Thank you once again.